This time of year, our attention often turns toward those less fortunate. And this year, there are a lot of our neighbors who need some help.
Our 13 Investigates team is continuing their look at Houston's less fortunate and took to the streets downtown to check in on an alarming trend among Houston's homeless dying too often.
Hygiene kit. Yeah, anything you can spare.
Captain John Moritz is on a first-name basis
Long sleeve.
with many of downtown Houston's homeless.
How you doing today? All right. What you need, anything?
Some he's known for years. This month marks Joetta's 4th year on Houston streets.
It's hard work being homeless.
Moritz leads the homeless outreach team for the Precinct 1 Constable's office, and he does all this as a volunteer.
How about those ones on the left?
Moritz is a reserve.
That's all I want to do.
The biggest piece of his work, making sure he knows who's out here and that they can prove it.
She's got her ID, right?
I got my hot ID.
She got her hot ID.
Homeless outreach team IDs, sanctioned by DPS, verified by fingerprints taken right on site, not to look for warrants, although they do that. These IDs help people access health care and housing and are a first step to getting off the streets. Arrests, just not a solution.
In the 2.5 years I've been here at Precinct 1, I've only had one arrest, and that was somebody turned violent. Doesn't solve the problem. Number one, the jail will not accept them. Yeah. Number two, you really need to resource people out of a problem, and the jail is not a resource.
In the last 9 months, he's seen more people who need those resources.
People out of work, there's a lot of family violence.
The homeless count performed by the Houston Coalition for the Homeless does show a slight uptick in the number of homeless in shelters and on our streets. And unfortunately, our statistics show in the morgue too.
My true friend, I lost her not too long ago.
A homeless Houstonian dies once every 3 days.
We're seeing an increase in the death rate.
It's getting worse, not better this year. Tonight at 10, hear from Leon and Cheryl Cavett, whose son was homeless on and off for years. They thought he'd finally turned it around until he was found dead in that alley behind me.
And if he had not had a mother and a father and a home, he probably would have just been dead on that street and another body in the morgue that couldn't have been identified.
Jason Cavett's heartbreaking story, the obituary he wrote for himself, and what we can all learn from it. That tonight at 10 when we see you soon.